Hi, this is Bob Weiss. I'm the host of Shaking Your World. Cheers. Folks, good afternoon and welcome to Shaking Your World. We again are at the lovely Shakers in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and we are doing something today on the dark side of Milwaukee. Some of the stories from the underbelly, some things that just are not talked about, and we are incredibly fortunate today to have Cola with us, who had some experiences in the early 1990s that really are a significant part of the modern day story of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We're also joined by Michelle, who you may know as a researcher and a tour guide at Shakers. And betwixt us, we're going to spend a little moment in time talking about a few things that took place. Welcome to Shakers.
Thank you.
Good to have you. Such a beautiful day today, isn't it?
It's very, very beautiful. I appreciate it today. I don't like the height. I don't like the height at all.
I agree with that. And unfortunately, though, I'm going to take you back to, it's almost the same time of year, because that was May, I think the 24th in 1991. 27th. A very hot day. And one that made an indelible mark on the country, on the world perhaps. And I want to go back, if you don't mind, to talk about some things with Jeffrey Dahmer. And I think that it really hits home with you in a significant way because you had attempted to really, not seeing the big picture at that moment, but you had attempted to stop what could have been part of his murder spree. So would you mind giving us a little insight into that night?
Sure. You want to just ask and I can go, or you want to?
Please, just whatever feels right to you.
Okay. Well, the day was, if I'm not mistaken, the next day was Memorial Day because it was a little bit after midnight. And 2 weeks prior, I had just found my father's people. I didn't know any of my father's people up until my 17th birthday. And it was like a mission that I was on. And so I was told that I had a cousin that was my age. She was 18, I was 17, and I'm the only girl at this point. My mom had two boys and me. So found out about Sandra, who I was going to see that night, actually going to pick her up. And when we were driving, it was me, my kid's father, who I was dating back then, and we have 2 children now, 8 grandchildren, and we were traveling southbound on 25th. I'm gonna tell the story for what it is, okay? Tina was in the car, Duna was in the car, my kid's father was in the car, and they were smoking marijuana. I was somebody who just always had a fear since 6 years old, seeing it in my family and stuff like that, so I had a phobia about drugs. But if somebody smoking around, you're gonna catch a contact. So anyway, I thought I had a contact because when I was looking out the window, I saw this image from like about 2.5, almost 3 blocks away. Okay. And I thought I was possibly tripping, but I just wanted to make sure I wasn't. So I'm like, look, there's somebody naked down there. They just fell, like, and they, was in their own little world, and they really weren't paying me no attention. But I'm like, stop the car as we was going across 25th Street, and he was slowing up, but he didn't stop. But the door on the passenger side was jammed. You have to get it open from the outside. So I let the window down. I jumped out the car, and contact or not, I don't know. My instincts were like they already real sharp, but with the contact, I guess it was just super sharp. I don't really know. But anyway, I jumped out the car, and as I was getting closer, the image kept falling, would slowly get up, and then would try to take steps. And then as I got close, clearly it was really a person. It was a male, and he was hurt, and he needed some help. So at this point, I'm talking, and I'm like, are you okay? And he reached for me like a child, and I can say it like that because that's how my grandbabies, that's how my babies would come and stretch out to me, and I would get them. So when he seen me, it was just a look of just, okay, like a good look. And when he got close, he just went, and I went down with him. We went to the ground together, and I was like, are you are you okay? What happened? And he just couldn't talk. He was sweating, like bullets, bad, just terrible. So my mind is just racing. I'm thinking it's a gang initiation. I'm thinking like somebody just did him wrong in some form or fashion, but regardless, he needs some help. So after speaking to him for maybe about 3 minutes, Tina decided to come to see what was going on. So I saw Tina walking up. So I had made up my mind. I saw this phone booth across the street, a little bit down. So I said, okay, in my mind, like when Tina come, I'll just go and make this 911 call. So I'm still talking to him, asking him questions, but again, he incoherent. He never said anything but reached and was holding me as if, he just didn't want me to leave. And so I'm like, I'm gonna get him help. So when Tina got near, I said, Tina, stay with him. I'm gonna go call 911. So Tina, she was like, too, like, oh my God, like, what, did he say anything? I said, he didn't say anything. So I'm talking, I'm like, okay, I'm going across the street. I go run across the street. I dial 911, hi, it's Coach on 25th State.
Okay, hi, I'm on 25th and State, and this is young man. He is butt naked. He has been beaten up. He is very bruised up. He can't stand. He's study fall out. He is butt naked. He has no clothes on. He was really hurt. And I ain't got no cord on him. I just seen him, and he needs some help.
Where is he at?
On 25th and State, the corner of 25th.
And then as I'm on the phone with the 911 operator, I'm study looking because I'm seeing a man walking toward Tina and Konerak, but I don't know who he is. But I'm just wondering if he coming to help us, okay, that'd be nice. But when he came, he was kind of aggressive and was in a rush to just gather him and just take him and had no regard to how he was handling. So I'm on the phone. I even said this part on the phone, but it was cut for some reason. I said, well, some man trying to take him away. And they said, well, don't let him take him away. Someone's on the way. So when I got across the street and I was just listening for a few minutes, and he was like acting like he knew him. He was like, pull yourself together, Jim. And then a few moments later, he said another name, John. And then he was just talking, and it just really wasn't making sense. So I said, excuse me, I dialed 911, help is on the way. So you would think a person would be like, oh, okay, but he shouldn't have been handled like that anyway. But you would think that would make him be like, okay, great, because, yeah, he needs some help. But that made him even more so fixated on trying to take him. So I guess he felt because me and Tina were females that he could probably just bamboozle and just kind of rough us or scare us or just, I don't know, make us feel like, y'all, we need to go. He's like, well, I got this. He's my friend. He's okay. Y'all could go on. I got him. I'm going to take him back. He left, wandered off. I went to the store. And I'm still like, well, what's his name? Because he not responding, and he's kind of like being like standoffish with him. So I'm like, what's his name? Then he give me another name. So this is like the third name. So now, again, don't know if it's a contact or what, but you lying. And you look scary, and you look like you got some evil up in you, and something's wrong with him. Did you do it? But I'm thinking this to myself. But you're not taking him. And I let him know, you're not going to take him. I'm not letting you take him. And Tina was like, we're not going anywhere. So at this point, remember it was like almost 3 blocks down. So from all this talking and struggling, we're like in the middle of 25th and State. We're going closer to like the corner of 25th and State because that's the direction you're going, not knowing that he lived next door to my auntie. I'm not knowing we going the same way.
Wow. Don't
know this. But regardless, if he would have went that way, I would have followed him that way. I would have struggled with him that way. But it just happened to be the same way. So at this point, my kid's father is like wondering, and now he high, okay, because that's what he do. Bless his heart. So he comes and he's seeing like this man basically at my face, but in a like a aggressive, like you need to mind your business. This has nothing, just being real aggressive with me. And he like, mine just going, because I guess the influence, like, so he basically jumped down my throat and tell me I need to leave. I don't got nothing to do with this. He took it like he believed him. This ain't got nothing to do with you, Nichole. They got this, you doing too much. You need to mind your business. Come on, we gotta go. And I'm like, I just didn't I'm like, I'm not going nowhere. I called 911. I'm not letting them take him. I don't believe, So me and him, now we in this big old cahoots which we stayed in anyway, but at this time it was nothing he could do to say to make me leave. Right. So we're arguing, and by this time he took him like probably about 10 steps away from me, and then he fell. Konerak fell. And he grabbed him, Dahmer grabbed him up from the front so his rear was facing me. And that's where I seen the blood in his buttocks. So at this point, look, so he could tell, like, I can't say nothing else. So he gone because he don't want to have no type of conflict with no police officers or nothing. So he gone out the way. Tina's still right there. At this point, people started coming out of the apartments. Certain cars stopped, certain cars kept going. So now Dahmer is just like looking like, I guess, like, I'ma just, I'ma wait, but I guess he had a plan because he couldn't take him. So at this point, Tina, my cousin Sandra was there now, and Duna never came out the car. We struggled more, and we were in an alley. So in this alley, it's a two-way alley. So we're in the middle of the alley. This is an opening for the alley, and the other end is an opening for the alley. So now the police are looking for us to be on 25th and State, but we're nowhere. We're not there. And it's a big old wall that's blocking the view. So if you're on 25th and State, you can't even see us. So if you don't, and if you go past down 25th, if you don't look to your left or look to your right, you won't even see. So a car was going down, a police car was going down the other end, which was almost like a block and a half away. So I ran down. They was just, I guess, just pausing, looking. So I ran down there and flagged that car to come up. It was 2 squad cars. I don't know why they're not talking about it. It was 2. So one from the other end, and then the one that was looking for us flew past the other end of the alley, which was closer to 25th. So at that point, I run down there and I flag them and send them up. Now they get there before me because they in the car. I'm happen to run back, and I'm all out of breath. I'm all messed up, but I need to, let them know what's going on. So when I get up there, Tina done left because I guess, I don't know, she left. But I'm right there. 3 officers are there. Dahmer there. The fire truck has made it there. They covered Konerak up with a blanket. He leaning on one of the police cars, and it's 3 officers, and they all talking to Jeffrey Dahmer.
Okay.
So I'm catching my breath because I've been running. So I'm catching my breath, and I say, excuse me. And he don't know him like he's saying because he called me. He's like, I'll get to you, miss. Now, he did say that nice, so I'm thinking like, okay, he will. I need to catch my breath anyway, so I'm thinking, okay. So I'm catching my breath. I'm like, thankful. I'm talking to Konerak. I'm telling him, I'm going to get you some milk. You're going to be okay. He on the car just, like rocking with the blanket the fire truck put on him. So he thinking, too. He see the cars. He see the police officer. He thinking probably, too, he had to because that's what we were shooting for. Right. So they didn't ever say nothing. About maybe 5 minutes, they didn't say nothing. So I went to the other officer and tapped him on his shoulder very, very light. Excuse me, officer. I'm like, he don't know him. I'm telling you, he don't know him because and I'm like, you take the blame. I'm trying to tell, and he's like, look, do you want to go downtown and tell, do you want to go downtown and tell your story? Because you can go down there. I don't need you poking in I've been doing such and such for such and such years. I don't need an amateur poke. And I'm like, I dialed 911. And I said, I will get to you. And they just like handling me like I didn't down, hadn't been there, like I didn't flag them up there. And I'm at this point, I'm thinking like, I'm tripping because I'm thinking I got a contact. I'm thinking I'm tripping.
Sure,
because why would they?
How old at the time?
17.
17 years
so
old.
So I'm thinking, why is they acting like this?
Yeah.
Like something wrong with the naked boy, which I'm thinking like, they got to see it. I see it, everybody else see it, Tina see it. Like, I called y'all. I'm trying to tell, and they just, I stood out there, let them talk. I'm talking about the conversation. One on Jeffrey Dahmer on the back, he's saying, he called me out my name, said that I was crazy because I was handling him when I wouldn't let him take him. So he painting this picture, this vicious picture of me, which, you weren't taking him. So it was like that. But again, they were more into what he talking about with me than what I called y'all about. So at this point, I'm thinking like, I don't know my auntie well, but she an adult, so let me go get her. She right here. So at this point, I just go over to her apartment and tell her what's going on, and then I go back outside and everybody's gone. That fast.
I don't doubt you, but unbelievable that they cleared a scene that quickly. What about the fire department?
They let them go. They told them they got it from here. They left. They left a blanket with Konerak, but they left.
I got
And
it.
the paramedics never came. So I don't know why they saying that. They never came.
Reprehensible. So these 3 coppers that were there, they all came from the same squad car?
No, it was 2 squad cars.
separate squad cars.
I flagged 2 down, one
Okay.
from one end, and the other one was the dispatch
Okay.
that was called from 911.
Sure. Okay. Wow. What a difference this would have made. Clearly, obviously, he killed Konerak later that day, shortly thereafter, and then he went on after that point to kill more people. The story of Jeffrey Dahmer is really an interesting one, and there's so many mistakes or guffaws that took place in the city of Milwaukee. Obviously, the prosecutors and the judges before this could have put him away as well. Judge Gardner, for example, well, he seems like a nice young man. I think that he has learned his lesson. We'll just let him go. So that was with, if I'm not mistaken, with Konerak's brother that he had assaulted a few years earlier.
Right. If they would have ran a check, that would have popped up.
If they would have run a check, that would have popped up. And so would so many other things as well. And I just can't begin to imagine what you have dealt with for the past 20 some odd years, almost 30 years, and how this has to have such an impact upon you and everything you've done.
Well, yeah, it made me look different at the police. And then being that they wanted to cover it up, how they basically assassinated my character and just tried to get me to change my story. I was interviewed, antagonized so much, it was unreal.
Yeah.
They wanted me to say things that weren't true. They wanted me to co-host. I was even told by Chief Ariello that there was an accomplice with him and that I may need to go in protective custody and that I should be silent. I got threats. It was an accident. I need to accept it and leave it alone, such as like somebody had sent me some cutout mail from a newspaper with a threat. I share all this with Chief Ariello, and that's where he told me that he has an accomplice, and I need to be careful and the protective custody. But I was a teen mom. I didn't want to do protective custody. I just was being honest as a citizen to just be like, I was shocked with how they covered it up. You know, I would think that they would have been apologetic to the family without a doubt and just owning it for what it was. But I guess, you know, when you in that type of field, you can cover up if you got the type of people to help you, and that's what they did. They chose to do it, and then they chose to bamboozle and destroy my name. I was in an abusive relationship. I would call them. They would get my name, and they wouldn't do anything about it. I've been on my deathbed several times. I've been kidnapped, left for dead by I went through some stuff. And like I said, they never did anything. There was restraining orders. They didn't honor it. They get my name, and they just whatever. So I had this thing with, I'm not going to even be able to call them, and why, no matter what. So all I would do was just stay out the way. And then when I was diagnosed with cancer like a month or so before they found out about who he was. I was diagnosed with cancer 4th stage, so I was sick. I didn't know why I was sick, but I was sick. So when everything hit the fan, I'm sad because he could have been saved. So I'm messed up with the fact that I thought I failed. Like I blamed myself for a long time, like a long time, because I was like, I should have put him in the car. I should have took him to Mount Sinai. I should have took him to my auntie house. I went through all that for so long.
Well, you're 17 years old, for God's sakes.
Yeah, so I went through that for a long time. And then the fact that I was sick and stuff like that, like I couldn't, like I wanted to do more as far as to let the people know, but I kind of faded away. If you think, if you look back, I kind of faded away. My auntie kind of was more or less the one who made the follow-up call. Like she was more or less, pursuing it because I was ill and I wanted them to own it, but they never owned it. Like they never owned it. And so when he got caught, like I didn't expect it to be that gruesome. Like I knew he was doing something wrong to Konerak. Like you could tell from what I seen, I could tell. The police should have been able to tell too, but when everything hit the fan about all those lives, like in the way that he like that never crossed my mind. He was like, I knew he was evil and doing something, but all that like mechanism, he was doing like stuff like movie crazy
the
type stuff.
necrophilia and everything else.
Oh my God, you know what I'm saying? That type of stuff right there just blew me away.
Right.
And I'm like, wow. So that coming to grips with like that, and then like I should have just, I just went through a lot with trying to deal with that. But I tried to get counseling, but it's all chain tied. Like this Milwaukee City Department, the lawyer, like I had a lawyer. They was trying to arrest me for stuff that I never did. Like they would take me to jail and was telling me I was finna go for such and such, but I had never been arrested before, so there was no fingerprint.
So this is like a big cover-up that was taking
this
place
was the cover-up. Yeah,
okay.
They was taking me to jail for armed robbery, saying that I was a prostitute, that I did X, Y, and Z, and that I'm going to prison. So I got a lawyer, Christina Harris, bless her heart, wherever she is. Got Christina Harris. She was like, okay, you're going to be Jane Doe. They're doing X, Y, and Z to cover things up, but your testimony is credible because it was such and such, so many victims after, and this, that, So I'm taking her word. Plus, after I was diagnosed, I was told I had 4 months left. So when I didn't die, I'm so thankful, and I'm still bitter though. I'm still bitter. So it's like a crazy combination. You happy, and then you still so sad about this situation, but you happy about this situation. So it was just some emotions that I never really had, and it was hard to understand. So anyway, I trusted her and was like, okay, so whenever they would contact me, I contact her, and they was all working together because she ended up relocating and changing her number, okay? When they had came and said some stuff to me about deposition and how they was changing like my yes and no questions because how I could tell how they was doing it. I'm like, what are you, how they was just trying to basically do it their way and try to alleviate some of the circumstances of what proved that they were negligent. So I went to talk to her about that. Her office was relocated. Her number didn't work. I have not heard from Christine Harris since then. So at this point, I'm going through all these emotions. I tried to get counseling. They got my name. They was on some terrible mess too, trying to basically try to act like something was mentally wrong with me to the point where could I have been mistaken about, could I possibly over-exaggerate it? And I'm thinking like, I'm so sure about that. I'm so sure about that. Like, there's no doubt about that. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to try to get some closure. Like, I'm thinking I need to talk to somebody, but that I never got nowhere with that. So I would write. And that's how I was dealing with it. So I kept writing, just more or less, not really even in chronological events, just writing to talk about it because I couldn't get the help that I was trying to seek. And then every year, they talk about it, so I get the press, and then, that's Mother's Day. It stole my Mother's Day for a while, for my mother and for myself. Memorial Day would never be the same. It'd never be the same. To be honest with you, this past year was the best I had. I got engaged to take, I don't know, he didn't really know everything, but he proposed that day, so he added a little something to take away from that day. So anyway, the fact that it came up and somebody basically was like, no, I talked to like a stranger, somebody I just got it like last year that it's not my fault, for real, last year. I just got to the point where the person who said what they said to me made so much sense. They was like, no, it's not, you didn't do it, the cops killed him, and I just never looked at it like that, you know what I'm saying? But and they clearly don't. But that's what happened. They killed him. It wasn't my fault. I did what I could do. And I did it. I really tried. And they, the one who did it. So when I looked at it from that, I started healing in December is when I really started healing, in December of last year.
So do you think it's more the cops killed him or like the system killed him?
Well, the system.
The system.
The system
Yeah.
failed him because he got away.
Yeah, he sure
he
did.
got away.
He sure
He
did.
got away, and he found some help to help him stay away.
Right.
And then they took him back and gave him back to where he came from. So
Right.
that's exactly what it was.
Right.
The system.
So do you think that they didn't pay attention to you because of you were 17,
You know
because
what?
you were a female, because you
Well-
were not a police officer, because you were
well,
black? What do you, combination
I think it's
of
a
things, or-
combination. I think
Right.
it's a combination of the fact that I'm a black woman. I
Okay.
feel the fact that, like, I don't really know about how people, like, I don't judge people for whatever reason. Homosexuality, I've never been prejudiced. I know it exists, but it's not me. So I don't look at age or any of that type of stuff. So for me, for that night with them, only thing I could think of was they had to be racist, because there was nothing else to make somebody be so interested in their job. Like, this is this is what y'all get called out to do, to take the statements. This is like, y'all ain't doing nothing, no extra. I'm not asking y'all to go over here. I'm not asking y'all to call nobody. It's right here in front of
Yeah.
us. And all I'm just saying is, let me just say this. And if you just listen, and you will be able to let me get to the point to, like, he bleeding. And if you look at the body language, you could tell he don't want to go with him. And he called him 3 different names. Like, if you just
Right.
let me just say, like, give me just a few seconds to get something out, you will be able to put your thinking cap on.
Right.
To do that. So, yeah, I do think that they were racist. At one point, I was thinking, like, was they down with him? At one point, that crossed my mind. Like, did y'all go over there afterwards? Because I'm confused.
Well, Cole, I got a different perspective for you that you might not be aware of. But would it change your mind if you knew that one of the officers was gay as well?
So why did I have that feeling?
Well, you're obviously a very intelligent woman, so I think you probably perceive something yourself. But as I look back over the files, and I've looked at this many times, and I think that there probably is a combination of things, but I think that it might be more swaying in this one direction, because not that he's in on it, but he is simpatico to it, that he is sympathetic to what was taking place. So I would think that maybe that was more of a driving force than that it was the cops, that you were black or female or something else.
Makes sense.
I think that would, now in hindsight, that's what it says to me.
Yeah, it makes
But-
a lot of sense. It does. And it crossed my mind because I just didn't understand the whole scenario that night. Like, I had played it over so many times.
Oh,
like,
man.
and it was nothing I did or said that, nothing.
Right.
Tina left, so if she did smell like marijuana
Right.
or whatever, you know what I'm saying, when she was talking, she was gone.
Right,
So now I'm talking to you. It didn't touch
Right.
my lips.
right.
So now what?
Can I interject?
Please.
You mentioned when Dahmer first approached you, he was very much wanting to get the child away from you. You said you actually could feel evil, like you
Yes.
knew that there
Oh,
was an evil intent.
yes.
When the police showed up and he started interacting with them, what did you think of his demeanor then?
Well, his demeanor, how he rejected them to look at me as a volatile, basically angry black woman. That's what he rejected, like projected to them to focus that on me.
Sure.
Like, she crazy, she did this, she hit me. Like, yeah, I did all that. And guess what? And if I would have found a stick or a brick, I would have used that too, because you weren't gonna take them from me, because I knew something wasn't right. So he had them just like, and they it seemed like that upset them, that
Yeah.
I basically, like, they wanted to take me to jail for attacking him.
Yep.
That's what it seemed like. I thought they was going to take me to jail, to be honest with you. I did. I thought they was going to take me to jail because he was making it like he wanted to file some charges on me. I swear, that's how I was feeling.
So it's like a few days later, the story hits the paper that Konerak is missing, right?
Yes,
And then your auntie
aunt.
calls, right? And
Yeah.
she is again looking in this case.
Bless her heart, yeah.
And they do the same thing with her. They just
Laughed
left
on
her
the
off.
phone. Did you ever hear that?
No.
No.
Oh, yeah. Well, tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So anyway, my auntie, bless her heart, she didn't believe me when I came over there to tell her what happened, okay? Now, Sandra didn't see the blood or all that type of stuff, but when Sandra came out, Sandra saw Dahmer, she saw the police, and I told her everything, okay? When we went back after they left, remember I went back and they were all gone, and then Sandra went with me, and I told her, like, they gone now, but something is not right. Can you please call? I had the squad car number, the one in my head, 36, and the other one was 68. But they not owning that other one. But anyway, Sandra's like, Mom, can you please just call? Like, something ain't right. Like, she believed me. Sandra believed me. So anyway, my auntie made the call. When she made the call, they assured her that everything was fine. It was a homosexual quarrel, boyfriend, 19, everything is fine. She's like, are you sure? I said, yes, ma'am, I couldn't be sure enough, and da-da. So when she got off the phone, she said, you made me sound like a damn fool. That's what she said to me, bless her heart, okay? She put me out her apartment. She put me out her apartment that night. And when I left, it's a bunch of stairs. So I'm just walking, and I'm still messed up because I just know something ain't right. Yeah. And I'm just hoping that my kid's father and them out here somewhere because they parked out of sight. So when I got down there, I was just at the sidewalk, just like, why would she believe them? But she don't really know me, you know. So I'm creating excuses because we just found out we just found out, you know. Yeah. We just found out, you know. And then again, you know, people stereotype people, you know what I'm saying? She knew, like, I was from the projects, Lampton Park, you know what I'm saying? She probably was stereotyping me, thinking I was somebody to be on some exaggerate, you know, just derogatory, create, you know, you never know. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe because she don't know me or whatever. But she did call. But the fact that you would, you know, be like, just believe, like, but she believed them. Anyway, a couple of days later, she called me. She said, asked me, can I come over? And I was kind of like, because she was so beautiful. You know, she was just I was so happy to find my people. They were like presents to me, you know, and I had longed for them. And I was just thankful, you know. And when she called me, I was happy. And, I didn't know what she wanted. She didn't say. She just asked me, can I get over there? And I called my kid's father, and he took me over there. And when I got there, she pulled out a cutout piece of newspaper, and she said, is this the boy that you see? And I said, yes, it is. She said, are you sure? I said, I'm positive. Because Sandra wasn't 100%, but I was. So when I told her that, that's when she, you know, started making, you know, the moves and this and that to, like, she felt bad. I believe she felt bad, like, oh, my God, like, you were telling the truth, and he missing, and you know, and then when it hit the fan with everything, like it drove her into it. Like when I met her, she was a drinker, like, you know, just from visiting her and then seeing her after that. But it seemed like that made it worse when everything came out. Just, you know, she was devastated by it. Like, she couldn't. Like, it blew her mind, blew Sandra's mind, it blew my mind. You would think it blew the cops' mind to the point that they would be like, you know, you would thought they would be in psychiatric because I was almost there. I was almost there. It's really y'all fault. So why y'all not going through nothing?
Yeah, having met the players in this, I would tell you that it has had an impact. Collateral damage was on everybody, so there's no question about that. It had an impact on everybody that he touched. Yeah. So, and how could it not, right?
Yeah. So yep, it was something. I remember when I went to cosmetology school and we worked on mannequins. It was because his haircut, he had a very precise haircut. I cracked up. So by the grace of God, I did so good on my written. But the haircut I choked up, was messed up, and the haircut and the mannequin looked so much like him, it just blew me away. I just, you know, I really had needed some healing, some therapy, you know what I'm saying? Because my mom at the time, she couldn't console me. My father wasn't here. And then at one point, my auntie act like she was on something else, you know, like it wasn't, now I don't know, like it was a different type of something that she was on. It wasn't like if she felt that way, how you think I feel? You didn't even see him. So how you think I feel? So it was messed up. But I'm going to tell you, if I wasn't a strong person, and if I didn't have this relationship with God like I have, that I've had since I was 6 years old, I would be a complete fruitcake right now. Complete fruitcake.
Understandably,
Yeah.
very understandably. Geez. I'm thrilled to see that you have recovered and you are doing
Yep,
as well as you have.
I
You come to
am.
terms with this. I'm sorry that you lost, 20 some odd years in the
Yeah.
process to get there, and the impact on your family and everyone else has to be significant. It just exposes, the problems that we're having today are not new problems on any side. There's a lack of communication. There's a lack of respect taking place on all sorts of levels. I don't do, obviously, criminal investigations, but I've got to imagine that that's got to be a mess anyway when you encounter these types of things on a regular basis. You've got to be cynical and jaundiced when you walk into something, and that probably has an impact on your ability to listen to other people, though you certainly should because you're collecting information, right?
Right.
And certainly somebody who was there before you got to the scene. But I can understand what a mess every part of every homicide is, and then you get something of this magnitude with someone like Dahmer, who everything I've read and researched, he has been incredibly silken-tongued, and he's able to get himself out of all situations.
It's crazy.
He was he was that,
Definitely.
but he was as if he had some other power and ability to talk to
yeah.
people, to
Yeah.
guide him, that
Yeah.
just mesmerized people he talked to.
Ain't that something? I thought that too. I was like,
So-
I actually wrote him when he was in prison,
Oh my
anonymous
gosh.
name,
Okay.
and I actually told him about God. And I don't know if you have a relationship, but you need to get one. And I just let him know who I was that night. I don't know if he ever got the letter. Of course, he never replied, because that was the only some type of closure that I could find around
Right.
that time, because I couldn't
Sure.
get
Wow.
anything from anybody else. Like I said, the lawyer was gone. My auntie was like, she talking about movies, books. Her mind is somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that did a little something. And then I thought I was like on my way to just totally being better. And, because I've always did hair. So I started my first business in 2008. So I was interviewing accountants. And this one accountant that I interviewed, I gave him my real name, because I was, Cola Styles is an industry name. It's the name that I adopted to basically try to bury the past.
Right.
So, but he was finna be my accountant, so he had to get my real name. So we in Applebee's at Midtown, I'm interviewing accountants. And this particular one, when I gave him my name, he looked as if he seen a ghost. And he said, Nichole Childress. I said, yes. And he was like, and it slipped my mind, because I had been really on my way. I really love hair, and this is my first business, so I was really on a high point in my life that besides being a mom, I was on cloud nine. I had a grandbaby on the way. I was just on cloud nine. So for him to take me back, it was like, oh God. And how he took me back was, Nichole Childress? He's like, were you the one who? And I'm like, I didn't want to talk about it. I never wanted to talk about it. I'm like, he's like, they said you were dead. They said that you were, it's a file this thick, a police report, that they found you in the alley somewhere on Kilbourne, OD, with a needle in your arm. He said, that's why we couldn't find you for court. We looked for you. We looked for you. I said, what? I pulled up. I said, I never did. I said, people, I said, I've been afraid of drugs. I made a pact when I was 6. I was like, for real? And then this the other thing, too, that blew my mind. And since we talking, I'm going to just go on and talk and tell it all. My kid's father had went to prison, bless his heart, for a homicide, right? From my understanding, they was told he was facing something to life. Okay, they found him guilty, da-da-da-da-da-da, right? Why did this prosecutor, bless his heart, and he stole some money from me, why did he tell me that my kid's father, that's how he got out of jail? He went with the story that I was dead and that I was a prostitute on heroin, that they found dead in the alley on Kilbourne with a needle in my arm. And that's what he said is in the paperwork. I said, oh my God. So now me and him, we on a whole different type of conversation. It ain't even about accounting no more. It's about what? For real? He said, yes, they covered, that's what they did. They did that. So at this point, I was telling him, I had been writing for therapy, and he really talked me into publishing. He the one who really talked me into you should do it. But he was like, you should call it such and such. I was like, well, my life, that's a part of my life, but I'm not gonna create a book to say his name first. I'm not going, you know what I'm saying? That's not what I'm trying to do. I was writing about my life from 6 to 32. So it was basically my healing from everything that I went through. And I've been through a lot. You know, I'm here from cancer. I've been blind. I can see again. You know, I was just basically letting people know God is real and he heals, because that's what he's did for me, you know. And then ironically, I went through what I went through and I blame myself, but God, you know, got me over that and stuff like that. But anyway, the man, the DA, who was an ex-prosecutor, told me that, and it just blew my mind. And for my kid's father to have went along with that, and he never said nothing. Of course, when he got out, he told me they was coming talking to him, but he never told me like he had to say this or do this to get his freedom. Like, I mean, I wanted him to have his freedom too, but I didn't know I was finna have to be like slandered like that for you to get it. And then if so, maybe you could at least told me.
Right. Do you happen to remember who you worked with at the DA's office?
No, only person name that I remember clearly was Christina Taylor Harris.
Okay.
Was the lawyer. Was the lawyer. I had so many people coming to talk to me. Like, I left home at 17 to get away.
Yeah.
Because they kept popping up. They kept popping up.
Yeah.
And news people like Oprah called me, Gerardo, Donahue, like all those people called me. But I was so messed up, I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to talk about it.
It makes perfect sense, Cola. A 17-year-old going through something like that is horrific.
Yeah, I didn't want to talk about it. So yeah. And he, you know, my kid's father, bless his heart, he never admitted it or whatever, but I feel it in my soul. And so we haven't been on good terms since then. You know, he's in his father, he's a father to his children, he's in their life, and he's in his grandkids' life, but that just blew me away, you know. And I know freedom is important, I know it is. I know it is, and I don't know, I guess people would do whatever they need to do for freedom.
What price? Did you and your aunt ever get back together?
You know what? Bless her heart. You know, when all that stuff was going on and I had disappeared because the media and how they kept coming, and when my lawyer disappeared, I really felt like I needed to lay low, you know, because although it wasn't cancer, I ended up having hip replacement. So I had to learn how to walk and do all that again. So my auntie, you know, if I wasn't doing nothing that was doing some type of like spectating with that situation, she didn't really want to have nothing to do with it. You know, she wouldn't even come take me to the doctor, for real. Like, and my father was looking for me because, like I said, I just found my people at 17.
Right.
So when all this stuff was going on, I didn't watch the news. I didn't pay attention to any of that stuff. So I don't know if it was in the news or what, but my father was worried about me. My father came up here looking for me because he lived in Jackson. Do you know that my auntie told him she didn't know where I was at? And she knew exactly where I was at. So, no, we didn't. And my father passed June 9th, 2007. And she was at his funeral. That's when I seen her.
It's crazy the amount of cover-ups that are beyond just the prosecutors, the judges, the police, everything that has taken place. It just keeps going on and on. That's incredible. I'd have to ask a question, since your aunt lived next door to Dahmer, right? Did she ever talk about the smells that were taking place there?
No. No, I mean, she never mentioned it herself, but other people did, but she never did.
Yeah. Wild.
Yeah, but she never mentioned it.
Well, again, I'm thrilled that you came down today, and I am, you filled in so many pieces of what we've researched on this, but I can't imagine just what you've had to deal with for the last 2 decades.
Yeah.
But you're strong. You're a very strong, smart woman, and you've gotten through, and you believe. Your faith is, I'm sure,
over the top.
Been everything for you.
Over the top.
Great meeting you.
Bless you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Kola.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Well, this certainly has been a very interesting interview and a very harrowing interview in many ways. My gosh, the scars from that night, the collateral damage had to be significant amongst everybody. I know the officers whom were involved. I know that the toll that's taken upon them. I see the toll that it's taken upon this young lady here. I've heard other stories about other facets as well, both in the prosecutors and the judicial side of things. And in all the research that we continue to do for the Creamcitycannibal Tour at Shakers, it just occurs to me more and more that something happened to this young man that had an otherwise normal beginning. And then it's almost as if, I don't want to say something demonic, but as if he was able to just have such a silver tongue that it like put a mist over people's ears and eyes and made them not see things or to delude them in a different way. It was truly Rasputin-esque in many ways. And the stories continue on, and one of the reasons that I think that our tour is as well regarded as it is internationally is because we continue to ask the questions, we continue to research, we continue to improve the product with as many historical facts as we can. Clearly, as this is now getting on a long way from the 1980s and early 90s, some people that are very crucial to this have passed on. But to find those few that that do exist still, they have very poignant recollections and memories. And it has been a challenge to get some to come to the forefront and talk to us because they just want to let that stay buried in the past. I, however, think that it's important to embrace as much of history as you can, good, bad, and ugly portions of it. I like to think that we as a people are able to grow and to learn from the past and to move ahead and to try to make this a better world for all. I think to be a revisionist and to hide things away is not good for anyone. Certainly not good for society, not good for actual individual people. I think that the ability to let some things out is important in its cathartic abilities. Again, I'm glad that you joined us today, and I hope that you enjoy the series. Again, my name is Bob Weiss, and we are Shaking Your World on the Shakers channel. Cheers.